Surely that's not normal. What's this?
I think we're going to be joined by Paddy.
Hello, mate.
What's that, man?
We've decided to talk about Tony and specifically his training with David Goggins.
I don't understand why he's doing it. You know what I mean? If there's two things that Tony's always had in his locker, lad, it's mental toughness and cardio. I don't understand why he's done it. It's really, really stupid.
Tony Ferguson training with David Goggins. I feel like first and foremost, he's trained loads of pro athletes. David Goggins' roster is probably arguably more impressive than your average strength and fitness guy. So in some regard, yeah, I think he is kind of qualified. But it's also like, you got to look at what does Tony need to get ready for this fight. And I don't think cardio has ever been a problem, or his mental willpower has ever been a problem.
How much can you really gain in a week? Tony Ferguson has been fighting forever. Like, he knows how to fight. So the improvements he can make are limited.
Skill-wise,
yeah, compared to some other people maybe starting their career. However, maybe you might need something like a complete shock to your system, like doing mental hell weeks. Or are you just depleting yourself to the absolute lowest a couple weeks before you're having a cage fight? What purpose does it actually serve? You just putting yourself through like immense torture in like a cardio.
The problem that concerns me slightly as well is like the story David tells about the first 100 miles race he does, and the night before his buddy shows up and they just lift loads of weights and they do loads and loads of like heavy lifts, and then the next day he does his first 100 miles. And it's just kind of the attitude of like overtraining isn't really a concept to him. Based on what I've read, it's more just like, what do you mean overtrained? You just gotta fucking work hard. Real fucking warriors work as hard as they can.
Hold up.
I think we're going to be joined by Paddy.
Hello, mate.
What's that, man?
How's it going? You've called in at the perfect time. So let me just kind of set you up here. We've decided to talk about Tony and specifically his training with David Goggins. Have you seen the David Goggins stuff?
Yeah, of course. I've seen the post he's been putting up. Crazy.
How is that helping him in the build-up to... It's one of the most important fights of his career. Obviously, it's one of the most important fights of your career as well. Why do you think that he feels like he needs to do...
Something different, I guess, right?
Something fucking mental with Goggins to fight you?
I don't understand why he's doing it. You know what I mean? If there's two things that Tony's always had in his locker, lad, it's mental toughness and cardio. I don't understand why he's done it. It's really, really stupid. He probably hasn't been able to train this week. Probably hasn't even been able to spar, do any technique at all this week because his body's that wrote off. So I think it's quite counterproductive for him, to be honest.
What he should be doing is just jiu-jitsu every single day, I feel like, right?
Yeah. He should, like, but as you say, I couldn't get out, like, look at the armbar Charles Oliveira had him in, the knee bar that Dariush had him in. Like, my man does not need any more mental toughness. You know what I mean? If you're sitting in them subs and not tapping, you don't need any more mental toughness, mate. You're as tough as they come. And then, as we've said, his cardio, he can do 15 minutes in his sleep pod. So it's just crazy, lad. He looked like he was about to collapse on that lunges video.
Yeah.
How does that affect you seeing something like that? Obviously, like, we've spoken a little bit about it in the past, right? How you feel like this is a bit of a lose-lose fight for you. When you see footage like that come about, when you see that he's struggling to do lunges over a football field, I think most people would struggle to do that.
Yeah, and that amount they've been doing.
But like, does that make you feel more excited to fight him, or does it give you more confidence, or what?
Yeah, well, I reckon anyone would start struggling after 5,000 lunges or whatever that madman had him doing. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't understand why he's done it, seriously. Like, get an MMA coach in, get a jiu-jitsu coach in and start drilling jiu-jitsu techniques or drilling striking techniques. And I just don't understand why he's got Goggins in, lad. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to David Goggins, but David Goggins is an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? He doesn't understand our sport. All the endurance things he does are amazing. The fact that he can do so much and keep cracking on, but that's not relevant to MMA in the slightest bit.
Do you worry a little bit, Pad, that it sort of adds a bit more fuel to the fire of those people who are talking about Tony being already gone at this stage in his career? Do you feel like it's only adding to that as well because he's not training normally, let's say, right?
To be honest, it's 50-50 because I've seen people saying, oh, the fact that Tony's training with Goggins now, he's going to be a new animal. He's he's gonna be so ready for this now, so mentally strong, nothing's gonna be able to stop him. And then the other 50% of people who've got a brain are like, yeah, why is he doing that? Know what I mean? Now I'm definitely picking Paddy to win. So it's one of them, innit?
If this is the last fight in his career, he's obviously wanting to do something completely different, like push the boundary in a new way, right? Find some other level to tap into. So I suppose there is that as well that kind of makes it 50-50, right?
We are talking about a man here who, when he didn't have to, cut to 155 just in a sports centre because he felt like it when he was fighting 3 weeks later.
That's true.
How are you feeling at the moment as well, mate, about like the fight in general? Like obviously it's the biggest fight of your career, right?
It is the biggest fight in my life, you know what I mean? And I'm coming in to finish Tony, you know what I mean? It sounds sad to say because I've been watching him for about 10, 15 years, but I'm coming in to finish Tony, lad, you know what I mean? This could be the final nail in the coffin of his career, but I hope I'm not the one to retire him. Like, I don't really want to have that burden on my shoulders because, as I say, he's a legend.
On another more positive note, how happy are you to be fighting before the end of the year, right?
Yeah, when I got this surgery done in March, I didn't think I'd be able to fight before the end of the year, especially when I was just sitting on the couch for 2 months, couldn't do nothing, had my foot in a boot. So the fact that I'm actually training now and my foot feels at 100% and I'm sparring twice a week, I'm in the gym every 6 days a week, I feel better than I've ever felt, to be honest. Can't wait. I just can't wait to right all the wrongs from my last fight.
What was it like rolling with Gilbert? How long was Gilbert there for?
He was only in for one session, lad. But yeah, it was great to be able to roll with people like Gilbert, you know what I mean? It lets me know what my level is as well, to be honest.
So obviously with a win over Tony Ferguson, what does that mean for you? And then obviously what's next as well?
If you're in the UFC and your goal isn't the belt, what are you up to? You know what I mean? Simple as that. And yeah, I would love to fight 2 or 3 times a year, but I'm hoping to fight twice next year, but with me baby being pregnant with twins, it's going to be a bit hard.
Congratulations.
Congrats,
yeah. Good stuff, man. Twins as well.
Much.
All right,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
Well, thanks very much for sort of joining us for this small amount of time, but sort of meaning to be getting you down here soon as well. It'd be nice to have you in studio at some point.
Yeah, lad, it would. It'd be nice to be back down.
Hey, sit
Thanks for
back.
phoning in, dude.
Take it easy, bruv.
Have a good one, fellas.
Bye. Cheers, Dean. It was nice to hear what he thought of that, but I think even the fact that Paddy himself thought that was an odd thing to be doing, I feel kind of bad for Paddy as well in that situation as well. He's had such a tough time in the last year with his last fight, the fans' perception of him, and also, you know, just the aerial stuff and all of that. And now he's been given the task of essentially finishing off a legend in Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, lose-lose is the way he's described it, it's the way we've described it previously. But I think one thing that's nice is at the end of the day, someone's going to get redemption from this fight. It's either going to be Tony or it's going to be Paddy. Someone is going to get redeemed in the fans' eyes, which is one good thing that's going to come out of it. Because sometimes you get 2 fan favorites going head to head. You don't want to see either of them lose. This is a bit of a different situation because a lot of people are sort of disenfranchised with Tony. And like you said, with Paddy, some people like doubting him. So it's kind of like you don't have that, but you will have someone come out of this with some kind of redemption.
I think it all comes down to performance, doesn't it? I mean, like he's just said, he wants to right a lot of wrongs that happened in his last time. I mean, we don't know how much the snapped foot aided in a not so great performance. You know, if you do that in the first round, it's going to be quite difficult to remain focused and put on a show. However, the proof will be in the pudding when it comes to fight time. You know, are we going to see a masterclass from either guy? I feel like if either of them just kind of eke by on a split or a UD, that's not going to do enough. We need to see some real prowess. We need to see some real drive to get a good finish.
I think it still is a lose-lose scenario for Paddy as well, because like if he does just have a terrible fucking showing where he scrapes past like a really kind of old-looking, slow Tony Ferguson, it's so difficult, isn't it? It's like, if you're a fan, do you enjoy watching Paddy Pimblett massacre Tony Ferguson?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, because the violence.
The violence.
Yeah. And personally, like, it depends when you come into the sport. Like, I came into sport when Tony had established himself as the guy. But it's like, he's had his time, it didn't happen for him, and the sport moves on. I mean, as sad as that is, that's the reality of it, and Paddy is the next guy. I'm kind of on the side that we are going to see a even more declining Tony Ferguson doing these crazy moves, going to Goggins' camp to try and get some magic formula that's going to resurrect him. And it might, but I feel like we're seeing Tony get finished more and more. Like, he was finished by Michael Chandler. He was finished by Nate Diaz. He was finished by Bobby Green. I know Paddy said about, he doesn't tap to Oliveira, he doesn't tap to Dariush, but maybe that's when Tony was like, I'm still with these guys. I'm still at this level. And maybe now there's something in him that's switched off. And that's why he feels the need to go to Goggins and do these things. Maybe he needs to feel like, my head's not in it, but I can't let myself think that.
Tony's always been independent, but he's always had those role models that he looks to or talks to.
Yeah.
Like, he still speaks to his high school wrestling coach,
Brock,
I think. And obviously Brock as well.
I was just say that's the last camp he went to, back to his high school wrestling coach.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looked really good. He did look like he was refreshed. But obviously he took that Chandler knockout, and it kind of maybe set things back again. I feel like, mate, that's what this is. He's gone to Goggins to feel like, if I can survive this week that no other athlete has ever survived, I can cage fight. And I feel like it's like a mental switch to be like, I've done the worst of the worst, so this is going to be easy. And realistically, it's probably just going to hit him the same as it does with every fight.
We can't really say much because we would never survive that hell week.
I would last a minute and a half.
I wouldn't even sign up.
My knees would just snap in the first 2 lunges.
We're saying we don't know where Tony is at mentally because none of us have been there and not many fighters go there, but he's obviously found himself in a position where he needs to reach out on another level to another mentor figure, someone who's respected, probably someone he respects a lot on a personal level because of everything that man's done and been through. What they're actually doing is questionable, as if it's going to contribute to the fight. But again, from my perspective, I don't know where Tony's at, so I'm not going to criticize it too much. He might feel like he needs someone to put him through hell so he can come out the other side and feel like he's still got confidence in himself, So, but yeah, I agree. He probably should get an MMA coach.
All right, lads, if you want to see the full unedited version of when Paddy phoned into the podcast, you can do that by joining the channel membership. You can join for as little as $2.99 for the Just Bleed tier. Of course, if you join as a UFC champion or a UFC Hall of Famer, you can join the staff chats with Alex, where he just gives really bad ideas.
I run those meetings now. I'm actually in charge of all the content on the channel. Anyway, guys, if you want to join the rest of the channel members, you can click the join button down below. Link is in the description. Become one of the family.